I'm about to show you the exact system that we use to scale Meta ads to $10 million per year. And as we consistently spend 6- and 7-figure months for our clients on Facebook and Instagram advertising campaigns, I figured out what actually works today to take businesses from 100K months to over 8 figures in revenue. Now, most advertisers, they think scaling is just increasing budget or testing more creatives. There's a specific 3-step system that allows you to break through previous ad spend ceilings. And over the next few minutes, I'm gonna show you the complete step-by-step frameworks so that you can scale profitably without your cost per acquisition skyrocketing. So let's dive right into our 3-phase ad system to hit 8 figures. Now, phase 1, this is very important. This is what we call the foundation phase. In advertising, just like building a house, you have to have a foundation. You don't build a house on sand. You have to lay a foundation of concrete so that it can withstand the weather and all the things that happen to that house. Same thing with advertising. You have to build a foundation. So part of that foundation is going to be your audience targeting. There's a couple main types of groups that you're going to target. We call this in market. Now, this is what 95% of advertisers target. And these in-market people are who are actively shopping or looking for what you provide, whether it's a product or a service. Now, the reason why this is very expensive is because most advertisers are doing it wrong. They're all putting the same dollars in to target those people. Now, we're not saying don't target those people, but you want to have the right audience split on those people. Those are in market. You have what's considered out of market. These are where you're going to get a lot of people to know you, like you, and trust you that might not be ready to buy. This is how you're able to be wildly profitable on campaigns, because what we're able to do is we're able to take these people who normally aren't in that buying decision. We're able to get them to now engage with your business, possibly click on your landing page. And now we can nurture them along that journey so that when they do become in market, we're able to convert them at a much cheaper rate than everybody else because they've already shown interest. They're already on the radar. These platforms are very smart. They want to convert people. So these in-market people, they already know who's in market. And for them, they're going to use the people that have already engaged with your business to convert when they are in market. And we have a lot of data that we can lean into for this. So aside from the audience targeting, you really want to have creative hooks and test different creative hooks because you don't know exactly what is going to resonate the best. The hook is the most important part of the creative. I can't express this enough. 98% of people that see your ad, they scroll right past it. That means only 2% click on your ad. And that's actually a good click-through rate. 2% click-through rate on an advertising campaign is fine. I mean, our KPI is 1.5% or higher. We know we don't have a creative problem. So that means 98.5% of people scroll right past the ad, and we consider that standard, click-through rates. So the hook is so important. If we can take that hook and we can get 100% more people to click, taking that 1.5% up to a 3%, that's a 100% increase in our hook and our click-through rate. So the creative hooks, they're very important. We would consider 2 main types of hooks: minority hooks and then majority hooks. So it's important to understand this and how this looks. So if you look at this diagram here, the majority hooks are going to make up the majority of the audience. We'll say that is everything here. So majority hooks, think of like weight loss, looking to lose weight, tired of failed diets. Those are majority hooks, people that are looking to lose weight. Well, there's a lot of people that are looking to lose weight. These majority hooks are going to get significantly more spend than our minority hooks. The minority hooks, though, these are going to be these little pockets that we can find that they might not make up as much of the market, right? If this whole circle is the entire market looking for weight loss or looking for whatever service or product you provide, the majority hook is going to attract most of the people. We're going to be able to put much more spend through this. But these minority hooks, we don't want to forget about these because these are the ones where we might be able to get some really crazy return on ad spends. So for example, if it was a weight loss offer, a minority hook might be a postpartum ad. targeting women who had kids. They're no longer breastfeeding. Well, that's a smaller market of people that want to lose weight. It might be targeting somebody who just wants to get abs. You've been on your weight loss journey and now you want to finally get abs and get to that summer physique body that you've always dreamed of. That person also wants to lose weight, so they would fall into that majority, but we made the hook very specific to them. So these are what we would consider majority versus minority hooks. The majority hooks are going to get majority of the spend, but this is what everybody's targeting. We might not have as high of a return on ad spend from those, but we'll be able to spend much more aggressively on those because there's more people that we can market to. The minority hooks, we might not be able to spend, so we don't want to go all in on these, but we want to create that foundation. So come up with all these different angles and hooks and ideas of who is going to buy, what is it going to take them to buy your service. So the last part of the foundation, aside from the targeting, the creative hooks, let's go back to the audience targeting. One thing that I did forget to include, aside from in-market and out-market, you want to have the right segmenting. So what we do when we're testing things out, especially with a new campaign, depending on what kind of data we have and feedback, we're going to test a lookalike audience, we're going to do an interest stack, and then we're going to go broad. Now, generally what we're seeing is when we are in control of the creatives, meaning my team, myself, our creative strategists, broad always outperforms. Why? Well, because the creative does a lot of the targeting now. But when we're dealing with other ads that we didn't create, other content producers that might have created this content for the business, sometimes these lookalikes and these interests are going to give us a little bit more direct targeting options. But as we take over, as we start implementing our best practices, our data conditioning, our pixel conditioning, and we really start to look at the real data, what we're finding is broad is performing better. So you've got your audience, you've got your creative, and then the last thing is the tracking and the data. This is so important. It's unbelievable how many advertisers and how many businesses we take over and they have no tracking, they have no accurate data that they're analyzing. They're just looking at the ads manager. I have a campaign that like none of the data in Facebook is accurate. I would say not none of it, but like 40% inaccurate data, which to me, that's a lot of money. You know, $100,000 on ads, that's $40,000 essentially that's not being attributed properly. If we spent that for the month, that's a significant amount of money. So you need to get accurate data. What we like is third-party attribution. We won't take over an account if we can't get third-party attribution installed. Hyros, Triple Whale, Northbeam, Wicked Reports, any of these are going to be better than what your CRM is, what the ads manager is doing. And then obviously like the CRM data. So we want to use the campaign platform. So Meta or Google, the third-party attribution, and then the CRM. Those are going to be our triangle because what it says in the CRM might be different than what it says in the ads manager. Well, we always need that third point of reference to see what's true. So that's what that third-party attribution software comes in. It verifies what is true. Now we can actually make decisions around our campaign. So we've laid the foundation. We have the audience targeting. We have the creative hooks, and now we have the tracking set up. Now, these are the things that we can go after, right? So we've done the deep research. We've analyzed the market. We understand who's in market, who's out of market. We've segmented the campaign, lookalike audience. We've got an interest stack. We've got broad, and then we have the creative hooks that we think are most likely to perform. Now, we don't start spending yet. We got to set up the tracking. So third-party attribution, CRM data. And then we also have to have the right KPIs in place, right? I launched a campaign recently with a client. They told me they weren't making money. They wanted to make money on their ads. So I think they want to make money. I didn't do my job properly. They thought CAC was the most important thing. It took us about 6, maybe 7 weeks of working with this client. We flipped this campaign around. They were making money. They were making like $900 off of an order. This is for a telehealth weight loss company. I would argue the most competitive market that exists right now. Everybody can sell weight loss. You can go to any provider. It is literally one of the most competitive markets I've ever advertised in. We're competing with businesses that are investing $50 million a month in these advertising campaigns. So you have to know what to do right. So we take over the campaign. They told me their previous experience with their advertising company. They were spending 15 grand and losing money. They wanted to make money. I get them to make making money. They're making a 2 times return on ad spend. Every dollar they spend, they're making over 2 times that back. Their average order value was about $1,500. Their cost of acquisition, including shipping costs, provider fees, everything, $600. They were netting $900 per patient that we signed up. I'm ready to hit the throttle and start scaling this campaign. They freak out. They're like, what the heck? Like, we wanted our CAC to be way lower. So you need to know the KPIs for your business. So we obviously made adjustments. Now we've got their CAC down to $323. So that's in a range that they want. They're basing it off of the LTV. So they want an LTV. For me, I want to make money right off the front end of the month. To me, that's more important. So, you have to have the clear KPIs. Are you seeking profitability, or are you seeking like retention and acquisition? It really varies on your business model and what your goals are as the business, but you need to have clear KPIs. Now that we have everything, we are ready to start spending. So we're going to enter phase 2. This is the scaling phase. You want to make sure that you have the right budget allocation. And depending on what campaign structure you're running, what data you have, generally advertisers like to do CBO or ABO campaigns. Now for us, our CBO, this is generally our scaling campaign, and our ABO campaigns, this is generally our testing. So when we're testing, we want to force the spend. We want to control the budget. Where are we putting the budget, right? The budget allocation. If we're testing creatives, testing new hooks, testing a new landing page, we want to make sure we're in control of that budget. We're not letting these platforms decide how to spend that budget. If we've proven something's a winner, we're going to move it to our CBO campaign. That's where we're going to scale. And we scale depending on the campaign and the offers. We're going to spend generally about 10 to 15% per day. And then we don't want to just stop there. So when we're testing these creatives, so we might do a creative test. We might be testing 2 creatives, and we'll see one isn't within KPI, meaning like the KPIs that we set. So in that case, like the client wanted to be at a certain CAC. We thought ROAS was more important to them. So whatever those KPIs are for you that you need to set, it might be an average order value. It might be a cost per acquisition goal that you need to achieve. So you need to know those KPIs so that when you're testing new stuff, you know when to cut the losers. So when you're testing though, don't just cut the whole campaign. Let that winner continue riding. We'll scale up those winning campaigns. Additionally, now that we've got the budget allocated, we have our test campaign, our scaling campaign. We're going to want to make sure that we have retargeting and warm audiences set up. There's a lot of money left on the table without the proper retargeting creatives, the retargeting strategies set up. And the problem that I see oftentimes with the businesses that are doing it is they're overspending on their retargeting. You'll go into the campaign, you'll see like a 4 or 5 frequency, and the allocation might be like 30 or 40% toward retargeting. What happens is generally they're like, okay, well, we launched this retargeting. And for example, if their acquisition cost is $200 on average on their cold campaign, the retargeting campaign they launched, and they're getting like $100 acquisition. Very common. So they think, okay, well, I'm just going to spend more money on this retargeting campaign. I'm going to increase the budget there. Well, what happens is the retargeting is targeting people that are warm audiences. You eventually run out of that. You can't drive the water in the well. You have to make sure that there's water still in the well. That's the whole purpose of the retargeting campaign, is just capture all those other drops of water. Now, warm audiences are going to be great. What we like to do is video views, page visits, exclude customers, and there's a bunch of warm audiences that we're going to create so that we're targeting exactly who we want to be in front of. And the messaging on these retargeting and warm audiences is also going to be different. So the creatives are going to be completely different for these audiences. We're not going to message them the same as somebody who's never seen us or heard us before. And then you need to be testing at scale. So when I'm looking at these campaigns, I'm scaling this up. The things I'm monitoring are CPAs, which ads are getting most spend, video views, and you want to monitor these things so that you know what to cut. The goal of all this data is to make decisions, right? Data drives decisions, which is what to cut, trimming the fat, and what to spend more of. Those things that you want to spend more of, what you're going to want to do is get iterations done of those. Create 5 different versions, different types of that ad. And if you'd like us to implement this exact system and build out your entire marketing system, I'm talking we launch it, we build out the CRM, the funnels, everything, the whole 9 yards, the exact system that we build out for these businesses that we scale to 8 figures. We give you all the proven playbooks, all the proven AI prompts, everything that you need to succeed, the exact resources that I'm providing my team, we're providing to you. And the best part, we even create the content, we integrate everything for you. We turn these campaigns on so that you immediately start getting results. Then you get to work directly one-on-one with me and other high-level 6 and 7-figure entrepreneurs who are on that path to 8 figures. Click below to see exactly how we might be able to help you with a build and release offer like that. And then the final phase is going to be sustaining profitability at scale. So phase 1, we have that foundation laid. We've got everything set up. We start spending and we start scaling. Now, how do we maintain that scale? The things you're going to want to look out for while you're spending more and increasing your budgets is most common ad fatigue. Now, what I see happen a lot is a lot of advertisers overassume ad fatigue is actually happening. But what's happening is they're actually getting wrong data back. If you look in these platforms are only showing you the last click data, meaning if I go to a landing page, I see your ad, one of your top of funnel ads, and I click and I go to that landing page, I don't convert. I might even add to cart, or I might put in all my information in a lead form, but not submit. Well, guess what happened? That didn't drive a conversion, but that ad might be getting way more people to do that than other ads do. And then what happens is this other ad is driving all these conversions. Well, as you look at the data, you might not have the accurate data because you haven't set up the conversion API properly. You haven't done the CAPI imports to attribute all that first click data back. So what we're going to do is we're going to see ad fatigue that's not actually there. We're also going to make cuts of ads that we might think are winners. So ad fatigue simply is when the audience has been shown your ad too many times. This also happens with a lot of advertisers that are running outdated ad strategies. They might be running like 3 or 4 ads or like 10 ads. You know, you need like 25 to 50 ads. I don't even like to take over an account if I can't have 25 creatives to start. You know, most of our campaigns, we're looking to hit 50 plus creatives. Think of how diverse 50 ads. If you could think of all 50 reasons why somebody would want to buy from you, make that list. And you have to have different ways to message it, different hooks, different creatives. You're just going to create a much better user experience because now the platform has so much more stuff that they can show them. Versus if you only have one ad and you have to show it again and again and again and again, people are just going to see that ad and they're not going to want to see it. That's what creative fatigue is. That's what ad fatigue is. And even those best hooks, you might have that majority hook. Well, you're going to have to change it up sometimes. It might be just changing the background. So if I'm wearing a black shirt filming here, I might put a hat on and throw a white shirt and film the exact same ad. Sometimes that's all it takes to get yourself out of ad fatigue. Additionally, lifetime value optimization. This is very important when we're launching a new telehealth brand right now. I think this brand is going to do very well. I predict that they'll do 8 figures in less than a year of launching. I mean, we just have the dream team, not to brag, like we're running all the ad creatives, but it's not just us. Like they have a brilliant AI strategist. I mean, he's won multiple Emmys. I can't talk about what we're doing yet because I'm under NDA and I really don't want to share any of this until we start gaining traction. The owner of this business has scaled multiple businesses to 8 and 9 figures, but he doesn't know the online landscape. He's done a lot of TV, print, and radio. Again, multi-successful 8 and 9 figure businesses. He understands the importance of like creative testing, volume, diversification, finding what wins and just running it up. It's going to do very well. But what we've really been focusing on, and we've been running different test scenarios, is like, how do we get this AOV up? How do we increase the LTV? Do we do a subscription model? Are there add to carts that we can do? So we want to make sure we're looking at all the upsells that we can do. We want to also look at the offers, the cross sells. So did somebody buy a weight loss product? Can we cross sell them? Can we hit them with an email nurture for something else? Did they buy a black shirt? And we said, hey, did you know we have these pants that you might like? What are the cross sells that we can get? These are ways that we can drastically improve our LTV and increase the amount of money per dollar, because you have to pay for that customer, right? If you have $100 acquisition cost, and now of all the customers that we acquire, let's say we acquire 1,000 customers, customers? Or are we only going to acquire them to sell those black shirts? You know, that's what most advertisers are thinking. I only have one thing. Well, what can I do to remarket to them to then drive that up? Well, I'm going to sell them the shorts. I'm going to sell them the pants. I'm going to sell them the hat. Now of those 1,000 customers we got, maybe we only cross-sell 15% of them, but now we just increased 1,000 orders one time for the black shirt. Now we got, what is that, 150 orders extra of shorts. So these are things that we're going to want to run through and model and look at. This is part of what you get when you work with me. And then the long-term strategy. Generally, when businesses come to me, they're very skeptical. They've been burned by many agencies. So my short term is make money. Prove that I'm competent. I have about 30 to 90 days generally with a business to prove that I know exactly what I'm talking about and that they can trust me. So my short-term goal is make money, be profitable. So I'm going to focus very heavily on ROAS. I'm not going to listen to anything a client tells me to do until they've trusted that I know what I'm doing. Then what adjustments do we need to do for our long-term plays, which is like, for example, with a telehealth company, you know, we can focus immediately on decreasing the CAC. This might be more of a long-term play, right? How do we get the CAC down? Well, the short term was we need to make money. I need to know that you know what you're talking about when it comes to ads. So we got the campaign profitable. Now it's profitable on the front end. Well, how do we decrease the cost of acquisition? So this might be a long-term play because now that we have $100,000, $1 million in the bank, now we have some cash reserves for some bad days. Let's do a little bit more aggressive strategies to get our CAC down. We might test some new offers. We might invest in some new landing pages. We might segment out some of these offers that we have to new funnels, right? We might be running a VSL funnel. We might want to launch a webinar. So what are the long-term plays that we need to do? So CAC isn't the only thing that we can do long-term. It can be launching other offers, right? Launching funnels. But scaling meta ads is just one component of hitting $10 million per year in your business. And there's a complete ethical propaganda marketing system that I've been layering on top of these meta strategies. And these are some of the things that have made the biggest impact on their results. So check out this video where I show you how you can hit $10 million per year with propaganda marketing and how you can combine it with this meta framework to dominate your market in 2025.